INHS was parking snow removal equipment into the accessibility space for the disabled, the handicap accessible parking spaces, which meant that the people who had been assigned that parking space couldn't really use it the way they were supposed to be using it. And they did use mobility aids. So they, I finally had to get members of the Common Council and our senator in New York involved in order to get INHS to stop that from happening, because there are parking spaces that are designated for maintenance vehicles on this property that don't get used. Okay, let's go. Something that you should be aware of is that I do still have the strength to push my wheelchair around sometimes. But again, we are in a situation where if I stop pushing, there is a drift to this. So I am fighting this floor, basically, to keep me where I'm going. That's a thing that should have been addressed. Like, when they were building the building, they should have addressed that. They chose not to. Just point out that, in fact, there are places for maintenance vehicles to park. I'm going to come out here. Shanice, to one side you will see INHS installed an electric vehicle charging station to one side. We have the Ithaca car share here, which is lovely, but this space, which they call a loading zone, I don't know who's loading what here, but like they don't park moving trucks here. This is intended for the maintenance vehicles to park if they need to park on the property. It is one of the multiple places designated for the maintenance vehicles. All right, let's go. This is, again, this is the bottom of the stairwell that is on the far end of the building from where I live. You will notice it is a stairway. There is no way for someone in a wheelchair or who uses a rollator or a walker to get in and out of this part of the building. This is the end of the building that the woman who we ran into earlier was saying has a phone at it. It does not. There's no phone at this area of the building. So this part of the building is accessible only to able-bodied people, exclusively. Let's go. As you can see, there's a whole bunch of dirt and grime and stuff, but at least it's not, you know, cigarettes and urine. Okay, so this, Shanice, you might want to go over this way to watch this stuff. So this is supposed to be a public space for the people who live in this building. If you own a bicycle, you're supposed to be able to store it here. There's no signage anywhere that says that, of any kind, like not for visually impaired people, not for perfectly able-bodied people. If you don't know that this is the bike storage area, you just don't know it's the bike storage area and you're SOL. But we're gonna show you some things. According to INHS, people who use wheelchairs do not use bicycles. I bring that up because I'm curious if any of you have heard of a thing called the Paralympics. I'm just going to leave that there. Okay, so again, I would like to bring up that I am nearly 6 feet tall. So in my wheelchair, which, you know, brings me to what, 3 feet off the ground, I'm still able to reach this lock, which again is a standard key lock. And like, I have to stretch for it though. These doors, there are 2 doors for the bike area. Neither one of them has accessibility buttons, which they need. And you're gonna see this when I open the door, because right now it kind of looks like it's part of the door, but let's open the door. There is a rather large step into the bike area. Oop, oop, oop. All right, so we're gonna foot kick this bad boy. Shanice, if you could take a look at this door. This is what people's bicycles have done to this door, because people with rollators and wheelchairs, we can't get into this building. Yeah, isn't this crazy? Because again, there's like a 6-inch step up into this. Management is not responsible for lost or stolen items, but we'll get into that, because I'm gonna have to send Shanice in here because I can't go. This is literally an inaccessible place, which, by the way, is a violation of our lease. INHS has a legal responsibility to make all of the areas that are designated as public spaces accessible to everyone in the building. They can't create a bike storage area, say it's for everybody in the building, and then anyone who has to use a mobility aid can't get into it. Like, it's literally against the law. So, Shanice, I'm gonna have to have you go in with the camera. You got it? Okay. And I'll keep talking, but Shanice is not as tall as I am. Shanice, how tall are you?
5'3".
All right, 5'3". So 5'3" with a camera to wave at it. Shanice had to get all the way into the bike area before the motion sensor light, which is way up high on the ceiling. Do you see it up there in the corner, Shanice? So if you are in a wheelchair and are now, maybe 4 feet tall. Oh, somebody's trying to get to my door. Let's go find out who's trying to get a hold of me.
Same side. On the other side, on the other door, same time.
I'm still working on my video footage. I'm not going to be able to let you into the building. Apartment.
Okay, we're good.
It'll just have to wait. All right. I don't know if Shanice caught this, but one of the things that's interesting to me about this are things like those bike racks that they've got up on the wall there are well over 6 feet high. So if you are even as tall as I am, you're going to have to pick your bike up and reach it more than 6 feet into the air to get it onto the bike rack. There is then a secondary cable that you can use to attach another bike to, which you see here, there's a couple bikes that are, but most people can't pick their bikes up that high, like just most people. Not disabled people, not like, this was not designed thinking about like people being able to put their bikes on those racks. The other thing that may not have gotten caught on the footage is that a lot of these bikes are missing parts. So because INHS doesn't monitor this space at all, they don't make sure that like people can get in and out or that they can like do anything in here. There are bikes that are no longer usable, who may be for tenants that don't even live in the building anymore, are still in here, and nothing has been done to address that. Like, nobody has gone asking around, hey, do you own one of these bikes? And if you don't, like, get rid of the ones that don't belong here anymore. Now that's just, something that should be done as a course of the, maintenance of the building, but INHS doesn't do it. So this is the First Street side of the building. Shanice, if you could just get us a nice thick scan of that roadway there, that would be great. I'm gonna go around and get onto the sidewalk so you can catch up, or I can catch up with you more accurately. So the First Street side of the building is the building that most frequently cab drivers come to and delivery personnel come to. whether you are having a, you know, furniture delivered or you are having, you know, dinner delivered, there are no accessibility ramps on this entire side of the building. Now, with the furniture delivery, that's going to probably be more important than, you know, your takeout, but not necessarily. Takeout people can be disabled individuals who shouldn't be using stairs. And if they park on this side of the building, they have to go to the back of the building before they can get to the, again, singular entrance to the apartment section of the building. But we are also going to go past where the daycare is, and again, daycare people use accessibility ramps, not necessarily because they're disabled. So here is, what have we got now? 1, 2, 3. So this is the third stairwell that allows you to get into the building, but that is not accessible to disabled individuals. But again, you have to go to the back side of the building if you want to use an accessibility ramp for whatever reason. Why do you have to go all the way to the far side of the building in order to use an accessibility ramp? Why is there not an accessibility ramp on this side of the building? I got nothing. I got nothing. Something that is hopefully becoming noticeable as Shanice and I are videoing here is that I am actually going the entire length of the block. The way this building was built is that it goes the full length of the entire block, which means, again, if you are inside the building and there is an emergency and you need to get to the area of refuge, but you live on the end we just came from where the bicycle storage is.
Okay.
And get to the only area of refuge in the building, you have to go the entire block. And if the emergency is happening somewhere between you and the area of refuge, all you can do is go back into your apartment and hope they find you. INHS is by law supposed to be maintaining a list of people who are unable to vacate the building under their own power. And I haven't been asked if I still require that accommodation in years. The point of maintaining that list is so that if, again, an emergency happens and first responders get here and they're like, we need to know where we need to go to help people, INHS needs to know. They're supposed to have that information. But if it's not being updated, how do they know that the people in that building, in that apartment, can't get to an area of refuge? They don't. They don't. So since we've been talking, Shanice and I have now gone past the daycare, which I'm sure you noticed there was no accessibility ramp. This is the free science workshop. There's a nice sign right there on the corner telling you what it is. I'd like you to notice that there are multiple stairwells. There is still no accessibility ramp. We're gonna keep going here because there is actually one. You just got to go find it. So you're a disabled person. You got let off on First Street, and you're going to the daycare, yeah? Or you're a mom, and you've never been here before, and you don't know where it is, so you got to go looking around, right? And you're pushing your kids who don't want to leave. They want to stay with mama. We all know that. But they, like you don't know where you're going, and your kids are screaming, and now what? What do? We're still looking for the accessibility ramp, by the way. We are now to the back side of the building where the parking lot is.
Oh, great.
Remember I mentioned that singular disability parking space? Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I give you the singular parking space designated for disabled parking on in the parking lot area. All right, so you get out of your wheelchair van that you have, and you've got your kid that you're taking Head Start or the Free Science Workshop, and you come up here, and we're gonna go to the accessibility ramp here. Okay, so now you gotta go back about a quarter of the block to get to where the accessibility ramp starts. Okay, so we have gone a quarter of the building to get to the place where you can access the accessibility ramp. You will notice how much wider this accessibility ramp is. Now, this is the ramp that should have been put on the platform that allows disabled individuals to enter the apartment area of the building. We should have had this too, not instead of, in addition to, because this ramp is going to allow people to roll their groceries with them, to take their wheelchair up. If you are anybody bigger than I am, you are not going to be able to get your wheelchair up and down that ramp. It's just not happening. So, like, this is the ramp we should have had, and we don't. So let's go up it. So now we're going back a quarter of the building. So we are going to be half the length of the building in terms of how far we have gone just to get to this ramp from the disabled parking spot, the only one in the parking area. And please remember, from here, you cannot get to the apartment area of the building. So if you are a disabled individual and you need to get into the apartment buildings and you couldn't park in the parking areas in the parking garage, you've got to park all the way over here, and then you've got to go find the ramp that goes into the building, into the apartment building, because there is no signage for any of that. And now we are going to go to the daycare because I am bringing my babies to Head Start so that they can learn their ABCs before having to go to kindergarten. And this is yet another quarter of the building. So we have gone 3/4 of the length of the building in order to just get to the Head Start from the accessibility spot, going up the handicap ramp, and then to the daycare. Okay, now that I'm here, what do I have to do now? I have to go back down 3/4 of the building in order to go back to my car where I left my stuff because I didn't bring it with me in my wheelchair while I was pushing my babies up that ramp. This building is actively hostile towards disabled people. And the fact that the designer of the building stated that he had one of his associates go around their office for 15 minutes in a wheelchair, and he thinks he now knows what it's like to be a disabled individual. So now he has gone and designed a building that is disability safe and effective and accessible. That I don't even have words for the level of incompetence that is. There's no way I can go down these stairs. I got to go back down that ramp, and I am so exhausted from having done that. Low-income people have to spend years fighting with medical insurance in order to get a wheelchair that will just they can push themselves. I had to wait 10 years to get a wheelchair that fit me properly, that didn't weigh as much as a small car, and that has an electric assist on it so that I don't have to push if I can't push. And if I am in my wheelchair, it is because I cannot push. 10 years to get that. And if you are already in a place where you can't walk around and you can't push yourself, so you need assistance, 10 years is forever. And this building is in every way, shape, and form hostile towards individuals who have disabilities. Thank you so much for paying attention. Thank you so much for signing our petition. Siobhan's gonna get that posted on this, and we're gonna spread the word as much as we can. please just be aware that INHS is not unique in this sense. INHS is feeling really attacked right now. They're, thinking that, I'm trying to destroy them in some way. And that's not what's going on here. I'm trying to point out that our society says what INHS did here is okay. And it's not. It's just not. The people who live here are being done an injustice. And there are some of them who are so stuck in their own ableism that they sincerely believe that my efforts to call attention to the inaccessibility of this building is harmful to them. They think I'm trying to hurt them. This is internalized ableism from a society that thinks that disabled people should be hidden. And there's nothing I can do to help them except try to speak out about this. And I have spoken to senators, legislators, common council people, the mayor, about this problem. Financial institutions that provide funding to people who require assistance, organizations set up to specifically work with disabled individuals. None of them are willing to stand up with me because all of them have some kind of connection to the low-income housing developers in this community. They should be standing with me and making sure that I'm getting what I need. And when they're not even willing to talk to me because they have an employee who's on the board of INHS, they're not on my side. They're on INHS's side. And INHS is a corporation. They are not the people who live in this building. They are not the people who need these accommodations. And I am not out to destroy INHS. I am out to make our community more accessible to everyone. Everyone. Because when you build a building that is accessible to low-income disabled individuals, you have now made that building accessible to the entire community, no matter who they are. Thank you again so much for sitting and listening. Shanice, thank you for doing all the filming. If you're able to say hi, say hi.
Hi.
And we will get this posted, and let's start holding our developers accountable for this stuff, because they need to be. We can't keep pretending this is okay, because it's not.